Makes me laugh every single time. Happy Saturday, everyone, and welcome to the Saturday podcast. How's everyone doing? Please send your prayers to Dorothy Ross, who's currently going through treatment, and I hope Baron's okay. I think he's taking a break today. So I hope you're okay, Baron. If you're listening out in the clouds, enjoying your break. Oh my god, guys. Like a giant moth just flew onto my laptop. I don't know if you heard me just jump a little bit there. Oh my god. Wow. Okay. Let me just give me a sec so I can like close the window so that doesn't happen again. It's currently like 10 or past 10 p.m. in the UK. That's why there's moths flying around to my kitchen. Oh my god. Okay, give us a sec, folks. Give us a sec. Okay, we are good. We are now moth free. Let's get to it. Who's in the chat? Connie Balmer, who else is dancing to this music? I hope you're enjoying and dancing to the music. One person left a comment yesterday and said that they didn't like the new music. It's about 100 people who like it versus one person who doesn't. I've actually, the music catalog that I usually get my music from, I've cancelled it because they put the pricing up. Like, it's ridiculous. So I had to go to a free music catalog. So I'm sorry. We're dealing with like this budget music right now, for now at least. Sorry. This is like the nicest jingle that I could find in the free catalog. See, Palena, you like it, right? Carnival music. I was feeling in the carnival mood after Colombia. Yeah, Camilla is a hot mess. Might just be the only thing we like about her, the fact that she's a hot mess. Okay, let's get to it. Yes, Harry ducked in and ducked out of the UK for his uncle's funeral. Our condolences to the family. And in my last podcast, I read out a tweet that I saw that had spoken about this, but I wasn't too sure at the time, was this just a rumor or was it true? Well, it turns out that it was actually true. He ducked in and ducked out. And, for a family passing away, I wouldn't expect anything less. It's a private ceremony. There was no need for any, kind of announcement. And I am 99% sure that nobody in the palace knew. In the main palace, I mean, outside of the Spencer family, because if they did, pretty sure that it would have been leaked. Oh, congratulations on 1 year of membership. Thank you so much, Vera. You are very much appreciated. Yeah, exactly. Like a boss. Came into the UK and then went out about his business. Right, let me just read this article from the BBC. So Harry and William attended Uncle's memorial service. Now, if William was there, and according to sources he was, I don't think William knew about it. I can bet he was probably very surprised. And also it turns out the person who oversaw the funeral actually spoke to the press, which I think is very unclassy. You were there for a private moment. Why you would talk to the press? I don't know. Maybe there was some kind of off there, or how these things are. But I didn't really think that was too necessary. Anyway, the Prince of Wales and Duke of Sussex both attended a memorial service for their mother-in-law. For their mother's brother-in-law, Lord Robert Fellows, on Thursday. Prince Harry flew from his home in the US to join his brother at St. Mary's Church in Norfolk. The memorial service took place close to the Sarrington estate. A source who attended the service confirmed both brothers were in attendance. The church warden, who wished to remain unnamed, told the BBC it was wonderful that both princes were able to attend. The service was a lovely family occasion celebrating the life of a very special man. According to The Sun, the brothers kept their distance at the service and were not seen to speak to each other. Well, I mean, any surprises there? You know, they were there for the uncle, so. So Lord Fellows was married to Lady Jane Spencer, Princess Diana's sister, for more than 40 years. They had 3 children together, and he was the uncle to Prince William and Prince Harry. He is also a cousin of Ronald Ferguson, the father of Prince Andrew's former wife, Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York. Wow! He's the cousin of Ronald Ferguson, the father of Prince Andrew. So he's Sarah Ferguson's father, who he's the cousin of. Wow. Okay. Lord Fellows worked in Queen Elizabeth, the former Queen, in her private office between 1977 and 1999, and spent most of the 90s as her private secretary. That's interesting. The most senior official in the monarch's household. He helped steer the royal family through a turbulent period, which saw a fire at Windsor Castle, Diana's and Charles' divorce, and Princess Diana's death in 1997, of course. He was portrayed in the 5th and 6th series of the Netflix series The Crown. His cause of death was not disclosed. All right. Well, I'm glad that Harry got to, privately pay his respects without, any, anything from the press interfering, and he was able to come in and go out. Let's see. And was there anything? Okay, I think that was pretty much. Oh, yeah. The other thing that I want to say about this. Yeah, the press know nothing. This is just more proof that the press know nothing. So here are 2 articles from People. One is from the 12th of August. Prince Harry to miss funeral of his uncle, Robert Fellows, amid security concerns in the UK. Fellows, who was married to Princess Diana's sister Jane and served as private secretary to the Queen, passed away. So that was on August 12th, that article from People. And then on August 29th, literally 2 days ago, Prince Harry and Prince William joined each other at Uncle's funeral in surprise joint appearance. It was not a joint appearance, it was just going for a funeral. So I think what's kind of happened here is they were so distracted by the announcements of Harry going to New York that they just assumed, and there was no news about him possibly coming to the UK for the funeral, but they probably just assumed that he wasn't coming. And they're even convinced of their own, silly narratives that they keep putting in the tabloids about, the security concerns. Yes, there are security concerns because they will not allow him to pay for his own security. But as and when Harry feels like he needs to come back, like for the court case, or like for his family's events like this, it seems on every single occasion he's just stealthily come in, done what he needs to do, and then goes home. So the security concerns are still there, but the fact that he comes in and comes out so quickly because of those security concerns doesn't mean that he won't come to the UK. And again, Harry wants to pay for his own security. They won't let him. I wanted to read this from Nina on Twitter. She said, I love the whole analysis and the gymnastics and semantics of the British press trying to explain to us how and why Prince Harry was at the funeral and tried to attack William Parker Bowles, that's what we're calling William now. 2, the wider Spencer family was present. Harry, all his years, especially after he became more independent from his father, he attended every family celebration and occasion. The British press had for years presented the image of Harry without family and blaming it on Meghan. Harry being close to the Spencers proves and kills the palace and press narrative. He has a family he is close with and they are very loyal to each other. It's so funny to watch the British press running up and down trying to explain why he is so close to the Spencers. They had the Sunday articles ready to attack him that he wasn't there and how he snubbed his family, the Spencers, for just another time he killed their false narrative. Also, another heads up to the Spencers for never leaking or using Harry in any way. Exactly, they haven't. And they were there for his Invictus 10th anniversary celebration. They aren't the Windsors. They have their own pride in history, more royal than the Windsors, actually. Here's a picture of Harry's red-headed family, the Spencers of Althorp. Indeed. Round of applause to that. No lies were told. Right. Oh, thank you to Black Queen. You said the gutter rats got a taste of their own meds. Harry utilized their playbook of look at the shiny object in New York while he slipped in the UK incognito. Exactly. You know, who was it? I think it was Chris Ship. Posted about how, you know, he wasn't able to get a pass to Colombia because he was looking to get one. Actually, wait, what did he? I think I have it in my pictures. I just don't have it on the slide. What did he say? He said, let me find it. He said, so he said, it's good to hear the local media were given access by the Sussexes. From our point of view, we felt the doors were being closed rather than opened. I mean, you closed those doors yourself. You closed those doors yourself. Because you refused to just give fair coverage. And we're going to see an example of a journalist who's giving fair press coverage. You know, it's almost as if even when they try to claim that they're being fair and balanced with Harry and Meghan, it's like fair and balanced to them always seems to look like we need to say something negative. Even when there's legitimately nothing negative to say. It's almost like they can't bring themselves to admit there's really nothing negative to say, for the most part. And I say this, or I bring Chris Ship into this because this is the guy who was saying, oh, well, you know, after Wednesday, I mean, that was Wednesday, almost 500 Wednesdays ago. After Wednesday, we're never going to talk about Harry and Meghan. But you all wanted to fly over to a whole new country that most of y'all have never been to, across the Atlantic Ocean, to try and cover them in Colombia. And now you are scraping for every single small detail. We love to see it. Totally. Is there fungus amongst us? These Tom trolls. We welcome the fungus. We welcome their views. As long as you just sit there quietly. Angela, did the UK have a private security firm besides the police? Yes, we've got MI5, MI6. That's like our FBI, CIA. And I'm sure some parts of the army as well. That's what we have. Give me a sec, guys. My cat is doing something really weird. Okay, she's okay. Let's have a look. Yes, Wendy, William and Charles get a pay rise in the middle of a UK economic crisis. I mean, this was announced earlier in the year, but I will do, I realized that I didn't actually do a detailed article on that, and I actually saw Murad Morali doing a video on this recently. So I will do an in-depth video on that, but that is true. We were meant to have a slimmed down, Ozempic, snatched waist, detox tea monarchy, and instead we're actually spending more. After we were told it was meant to be a slimmed down, Ozempic, snatched waist, detox tea, Kim K monarchy. We definitely didn't get that. Okay, next thing I wanted to mention, where are we now? Gosh, got so many slides. Oh yeah, some good news. Let's have some positive news. One of our Invictus faves, Miss Ellie Marks, friend Harry's, Invictus athlete and also a Paralympic athlete. She won a silver medal. She secured Team USA's first medal of the Paris Olympics. Paris Paralympics in American record time. Amazing. Congratulations to you for the women's 50-meter freestyle. Incredible. Great to see some crossovers from the Invictus athletes also competing in the Paralympics. Fantastic. Well done to you, ma'am. Also, Lawrence Fox. Lawrence Fox is a failed actor who decided to become a far right-wing mouthpiece. He married Billie Piper when she was really, really young. She then divorced him. They have 2 sons, unfortunately, so she's kind of attached to him. And she said in the past that co-parenting with him is very difficult. She also played the lead in the Netflix Scoop, which was the Netflix movie about how the Prince Andrew interview was got. She played one of the BBC journalists. And she now has the acting career that Lawrence Fox couldn't have, which is why he's now a right-wing mouthpiece. So it's interesting to see this right-wing mouthpiece having a go at Charles. I've said in the past on this podcast that I think the royals are between a rock and a hard place. Because, sorry, I'm between a rock and a wall, because on the one hand, they want to appear progressive to a new audience and a new generation who is falling out of love with the royals. But they also still have to appeal to the traditionalists and people who I think veer a little bit more to the right, who are generally more pro-monarchy. So for that audience, they cannot appear to be progressive. So they're stuck trying to be everything to everyone, which you can't be. And part of the reasons the other royals are in this situation, because Harry and Meghan don't have that problem. They are progressive, and they very much stick to their values. Part of the reasons the royals have this problem is because all the time that they could have had to evolve, they didn't use it. They just stayed stuck in their old ways and did this kind of window dressing, something that some of the other European royals have been a lot better at, and they have handled certain situations a lot better. So, for example, Princess Martha Louise and her husband, I think Durek Shaman, I think his name is, an African-American man who she married. That union is had a little bit of fanfare and a little bit of criticism, but as far as the family is concerned, they've generally kept it very peaceful, at least for the cameras. Complete opposite of what happened with Harry and Meghan. So the royals are now struggling with who they need to be. So when Charles comes out and says, tells the Prime Minister he's encouraged by the way Britain's compassionate community spirit has countered the aggression and criminality from RS thugs who rioted after Southport stabbings. By the way, he didn't actually say that in any official statement. It was a leaked telephone conversation. When we hear that Charles supposedly said this to our now Labour Prime Minister, it angers the likes of Lawrence Fox, who is a far right winger. And here he is tweeting about Charles. He will be either the last king or the second to last king, but the royal family are finished. The only reason they get free crumpets and palaces is on the condition they stay out of politics. Pointless, fat-fingered oath. That's what he had to say about Charles. So they are now struggling to bring on a new progressive group of followers, and they are also struggling to keep a hold of the more pro-monarchy traditionalists who are generally more right-wing. And this is why, I mean, he's not wrong when he says part of it is that they stay out of politics, but we know that the royals don't really do that. And when it comes to this issue, I don't really think it's a political issue. I think it's just like a human issue, like speak out against aggression and criminality from RS thugs. But it's interesting to see, them almost, I guess you could say, being eaten by their own. Let's have a look what you're saying. Elaine said, you are right, and yes, there are private security firms, but I'm not sure how good they are. Oh, that's when you was asking about private security. Were you asking about private security firms or the government? I thought you were asking about the government. So if it's the government, it's the MI6, MI5. Yes, there are private security firms, but if they're not affiliated with the government, they don't have the same intel. So they're not efficient enough. That's the other thing. Wendy said, if the government and royals do not compromise and modernize, Brits will start protesting by riots for change. Far-right riots take as a warning, not my king is also growing, Brits are not amused. I actually do not believe that there will ever be any kind of protests against the monarchy. I don't. I just don't see that happening. Like, we're not the French. I think that you will probably have people will just eventually lose interest, and it won't even be a protest. It will be a protest where people just don't show up. Like what's already happening, like with trooping. The last trooping, right? It was meant to be Kate's grand return. The people were all waiting, but it was so empty. So I think that's what's going to happen. I actually don't think you're going to see any type of rioting. I just think you're going to slowly start to see people not show up for these things and just lose interest. Because the far right riots, that was more to do with immigration, which is a really, really heated topic. And I don't believe that people are nearly as heated about the royal family to be rioting like that. Dorothy said, are they keeping out of politics because they have to or choose to? Both, but it's keeping out of politics overtly. They do get themselves involved in politics covertly. Black Queen. So let the peasants eat stale cake then. Well, if the peasants want to, if they're not protesting, if they're not, yeah, let them eat cake. Somebody asking about Cash App. I've begun to remove Cash App from all of my links. Cash App is actually no longer being accepted in the UK anymore. So if you do want to donate, thank you very much. But it's best place to actually donate is PayPal. But it would appear that most of you actually like to donate if you buy a copy. So that's fine. Thank you for whoever asked. Lola Love, I heard a country is going to host the Commonwealth Games. Oh, did they host? I haven't seen any news about this. Let me have a quick search. They were meant to be announcing a host at some point because a lot of countries were pulling out. Let's have a look now. See, Commonwealth host. Commonwealth Games Scotland. We must not miss the chance to host in 2026. Commonwealth Games Glasgow missed out on 100 million event will be true. So it seems like the SNP government is pleading with Westminster for cash to host the Commonwealth Games. I mean, if you don't have the cash, thank you for bringing this up, love. I'm looking at the articles now. If you don't have the cash, why are you asking the government for cash to host it? Multiple proposals being considered for new hosts for 2026. It looks like trying to go with Glasgow, Scotland. Because Malaysia was the last country that they inquired about and they rejected it. That was back in March. So now all the reports are saying could be Glasgow. So I guess we'll see. That's the most likely one right now. Ziggy Lee, you said, I feel Andrew's going to write a book and tell all he needs the money. Well, I thank you for the donation. Well, isn't he being kicked out of wherever it is he lives, whichever basement palace he lives in? So yeah, I guess he's going to need the money. But seriously, who's going to buy that book? Who's going to buy it? I mean, he may get a decent advance, but after that, who's going to buy it? The money will dry up. There's only so many cash for honors you can sell. All right. On to the next thing. Sorry, that one dragged out for a little bit. Yes, this whole thing happening at Buckingham Palace. So there was a lady, Miss Diane Durham, 62 years old, who appeared in court after allegedly proposing a hoax on the Princess Royal, who was hosting a garden party. A woman charged after allegedly tweeting that she would be up the Buckingham Palace has appeared in court. She was accused of posting a threat on X, formerly Twitter, to blow up the royal residence on the same day that Prince Royal hosted a garden party. She was arrested at her 200,000. Why do I feel the need to say how much this lady's house is? At her home near Leeds, after the Metropolitan Police flagged her tweets to West Yorkshire Police. She appeared at Leeds Magistrates Court on Thursday, charged with communicating false information to the Met. The alleged incident took place on May 15th, when the princess and her husband were hosting a garden party for veterans. The king was not at the palace as he was receiving cancer treatment. Mrs. Durham alleged by prosecutors to have communicated with the Met that a thing liable to explode or ignite was present in Buckingham Palace. She's charged with a hoax offence under the 1977 Criminal Law Act. I mean, just a rather ridiculous thing to do. But I do find it interesting that, you know, she is standing in court for this, but how many death threats, threats of harm, threats of violence get thrown at Harry and Meghan day in, day out by some of these crazies, even threats to go to their home. But there's only, maybe 3 or 4 people that have been thrown in jail so far for being a threat. And I think those people only got a few years. I mean, I haven't even checked when that happened, but when those people were actually put in jail, but they could actually be out very soon. Insane. But yeah, yeah, this is not a very smart thing to do, folks. I mean, I know we aren't monarchists here, and we're not exactly fans of these people, but please don't go around, you know, doing things like this. And I mean, somebody like this, I would actually maybe expect her to be pro-monarchy. Very strange, very unnecessary, and now you've ended up in court. Alrighty. What else was I going to mention? Oh, yes. In other politics news, I think we're done with the royal news today. In other politics news, I just wanted to end with Nigel Farage. For the first time in my life, I agree with Nigel Farage. Why do I agree with Nigel Farage? This is the head of Reform, by the way, the far right-wing party in the UK. He decided to smoke a cigarette outside of a Westminster pub in protest of Keir Starmer's, that's our Prime Minister, of his proposed ban on smoking in pub gardens. And to that I say, stick it to the system, Mr. Farage. In fact, sir, I encourage you to smoke 10 a day. Don't just stop at 1. Smoke 10 a day. Really stick it to the system. Heck, 10 might even be too few. Smoke 20 a day. I am 100% on your side. I support this. 20 a day, Mr. Farage. Stick it to the system. Also, over in the United States, where the US version of Nigel Farage is acting a fool, ABBA have joined a list of 30 artists telling Trump to stop using their music. So if you wanted to add some new artists or songs onto your playlist, well, take a screenshot of these artists right here who have told Mr. Trump here, absolutely not. You're not using my music. I think actually 1 or 2 of these artists might be dead. So that would be their estate telling Trump that they cannot use their music. Anyway, that is all for Fools Who Want to Be Foolish news of the day. Thank you as always, folks, for coming. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And let's finish with some of your comments. You've left any... Sharon, sounds like I'm pushing to host the games. Yeah, they are. This tells me that they are so desperate to find a host. Like, there's no one truly like excited to host, whereas Harry had people lining up to host Invictus. Cody, you're waiting for the Duchess of Success book. It is coming. The end of the book writing process is the worst for me because it's where I turn into an annoying perfectionist and actually added 2 new chapters just this week. But don't worry, it will still be coming on time as planned. It's just me being silly. But it's coming. Wendy, you said Edward has been very quiet out of the spotlight. Sophie is doing solo duties. Is he okay? To be honest, I don't really pay attention to the others so much. So, but if you've noticed that, that's interesting. Yeah, to be honest, I don't really notice Edward in general on a day-to-day basis. So if you say he's been out the spotlight and not really seen, interesting. Vera, you said, I heard that Charles wants Andrew out of the Royal Lodge because he wants to gift it to Camilla, so she has something after he passed away. Yes, apparently that is what they're saying. I mean, I guess he has to give her something, but I actually thought Camilla has like a cottage or something like that. But let me actually just Google Royal Lodge. I don't even know what it looks like. Royal Lodge. Is it in Windsor? She wants a nice, queenly, sprawling estate. Oh, wow. Okay. So this is where Andrew currently is. And where he wants... Oh, wow. Royal Lodge inside. Ooh, the interior needs an update. It has that very, like, old, antique look. But it definitely needs some refurbishment. Oh, wow. So this is the queenly estate that Camilla wants. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, he has to give her something, right? For all her hard work, for all her horsing around. Black Queen, you said, why are they giving up their plans? Oh, what you mean for the Commonwealth Games? Khadija, you said, Andrew has a good case and needs to go to court so he can continue to live in his home. A good case? How? I mean, with these lower ranking royals, you get what you're given by the senior royals. So whatever Andrew is given, he has to take. I think he's trying to move him into Frogmore. Charles is trying to move him into Frogmore, or just somewhere smaller. Because he really doesn't, I mean, none of them need these sprawling estates. But Andrew certainly doesn't. But his ego is not going to allow it. He has to take what he's given. Because whatever Mummy left him, the way these people like to live champagne lifestyles on beer bottle money, and for them, you know, even millions is not enough. You can have 40 million and it'll be no different from somebody who's making 40,000 if you don't know how to control your spending. And I think Andrew is using whatever leverage he can, but I have a feeling that Charles more. And whenever Charles goes and once Camilla gets full reins of control, Andrew most definitely is going to have to sit down and do whatever he's told. Oh, I missed your second super chat. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I see it in the star comments now. Lydia Washington requests that we notify squaddies that Baron will not have a podcast this weekend. He asked for your prayers and wish him a speedy recovery. Oh, thank you so much, Black Queen. Thank you so much for that. Sorry, I did miss that. Thank you for passing on that message. Trump is definitely a fungus amongst us in America. I think fungus is way too polite of a word, but I won't use a more fitting word. A fungus. We'll just keep it polite and say fungus. We'll keep it polite. Okay, you're right. He's a fungus amongst us. Keeping it PG today. Puzzle Dot, you watch this later. Just got home. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you enjoy the replay. All right, I will wrap things up there. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. I'm not going to play the outro music. Ciao.